Imagine a small seed buried deep in the soil. It's dark, cold, and everything above feels like a heavy burden. The pressure from above is immense. But instead of staying buried, the seed decides to grow. It pushes through the soil, cracks open its own shell, and rises toward the sunlight. What once seemed like pressure becomes the force that drives it upward. That's how pressure works. It can either crush you or create you. Life, my friends, works the same way. The deadlines, expectations, failures, heartbreaks, they are all forms of pressure. But pressure isn't always bad. In fact, diamonds are made under pressure. Muscles are built under resistance. And character is shaped in the fires of challenge. Let me tell you a little story. Once, a young man came to a wise teacher. He said, "Master, I'm under too much pressure. I feel like I'm being crushed by life." The teacher quietly poured hot water into 3 pots. One with a carrot, one with an egg, and one with coffee beans. After a while, he pulled out the carrot. It had become soft. The egg, which was once fragile, had turned hard. But the coffee transformed the water itself. The point, pressure doesn't define you. Your response does. When we face tough times, we either become weaker like the carrot, hardened like the egg, or we rise and transform the situation like the coffee bean. Pressure doesn't break you, it reveals you. Instead of saying, "Why me?" try asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Every challenge has a hidden lesson. Sometimes, we don't grow because we're comfortable, but pressure forces us out of comfort zones. It introduces us to parts of ourselves we didn't know existed. Resilience, strength, faith, ours be in the pressure has a purpose. It's the universe's way of preparing you for something greater. If everything came easy, how would we ever evolve? You see, pressure is a signal that you're on the edge of growth. It's not punishment, it's preparation. So, the next time life feels heavy, take a deep breath. Remind yourself, even the lotus grows in the mud. Use the weight not to sink, but to rise. You are stronger than you think. And within that pressure, lies the power you're meant to discover. Pressure is not the enemy. It's the catalyst for growth. In life, most of us are taught to avoid pressure, to seek comfort, and to take the easy route. But if you closely observe nature, you'll find that every meaningful transformation begins under pressure. The diamond, often used as a symbol of beauty and value, is created through immense pressure over time. Without it, the carbon remains ordinary. Similarly, when water is heated beyond its boiling point, it transforms into steam, a force powerful enough to drive engines. The same principle applies to human lives. When we are faced with challenges, be it academic pressure, financial struggle, heartbreak, or career setbacks, it may feel like life is pressing down on us. And in that moment, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But what if that pressure is the very thing meant to shape us, mold us, and prepare us for the next level of our journey? Think of how a sculptor works. He takes a rough block of stone and carves into it applying pressure with each strike. To the stone, it might seem painful, even destructive. But with time, what emerges is a masterpiece. That's exactly how pressure operates in our lives. It chisels away what we don't need and brings out our hidden potential. If we run away from pressure, we also run away from growth. But if we embrace it, not only do we become stronger, we become wiser, more capable, and more connected to our purpose. So instead of fearing pressure, what if we started respecting it as a silent mentor? Uncomfortable? Yes, but absolutely essential for who we are becoming. Every pressure-filled moment has a hidden lesson in the. Life has a quiet way of teaching us what we need to know, not always through rewards or comfort, but more often through resistance and difficulty. We often ask, why is this happening to me? When life becomes tough. But a more powerful question is, what is this trying to teach me? Because buried beneath every challenge is wisdom we would never access in ease. It's not the storm we should resent, but the blindness to its message that keeps us stagnant. Pressure invites us to pay attention, to become students of our own lives, and to seek meaning in moments we usually try to escape from. Think about it. When do we truly reflect in the? When do we look inward? When things go wrong? When the world feels heavier? When someone walks away? When a door closes? When a plan fails? That's when we pause. That's when we ask deeper questions. And those questions lead us to growth. A person who has never experienced failure may carry arrogance. But someone who has failed, learned, and risen again carries humility and strength in the. That strength is not taught in classrooms. It's taught in the battlefield of pressure, where the lesson isn't in theory, but in experience. Let's take the example of a young athlete who loses an important match. The pressure of disappointment could crush him or teach him discipline. It might reveal a lack of preparation, a flaw in technique, or even a deeper emotional weakness. But if he takes the time to reflect, that moment of pressure becomes it from which he grows into a champion. In contrast, if he chooses to only feel defeated without searching for the lesson, the pressure remains just pain. Life is a constant teacher, and pressure is one of its sharpest tools. Every pressure point presses on something within us, our fears, our insecurities, our attachments, and asks us to evolve. Maybe the lesson is patience. Maybe it's detachment. 20 hours to be in there. Maybe it's resilience. Sometimes it's simply a reminder that we're not in control of everything. And that's okay. The weight we feel isn't there to break us, but to stretch us into someone wiser. So whenever pressure shows up, instead of running from it, we can try sitting with it, listening to it, learning from it. Because within that discomfort, a message is waiting to be heard. One that may change not just our situation, but our perspective forever. Our response to pressure defines our outcome. Life doesn't always give us control over our circumstances, but it always gives us control over how we respond. Two people can go through the same challenge, losing a job, failing an exam, or facing a betrayal, and come out with completely different results. Why? Because while the situation may be the same, the response is entirely individual. It's not the weight of the burden, but how we carry it. Some collapse under pressure, others use it to rise. The real difference lies not in the situation, but in the story we tell ourselves about it, and the energy we choose to bring to it. Imagine being in a storm at sea. One sailor panics, curses the sky, and waits for the storm to end, doing nothing. Another sailor takes charge. He tightens the sails, steadies the wheel, and navigates through the chaos. The storm doesn't favor one over the other. It simply reveals the readiness of each sailor. In life, pressure acts as that storm and we are all sailors. We can choose to be passive and let it toss us around, or we can engage with it, steer through it, and come out stronger, wiser, and more resilient. There's a beautiful story that illustrates this. A potter was once asked, "Why do you strike the clay so hard while shaping the pot?" The potter smiled and said, "Each strike is not to destroy it, but to shape it. But the pot must also resist correctly. Too soft, and it collapses. Too hard, and it cracks. The strength is not in avoiding the strike but in absorbing it the right way." That's exactly how we should think of pressure. It's not there to defeat us. It's there to define us, but only if we choose to respond with awareness, calm, and courage. When pressure comes, we can react impulsively, get angry, blame others, or give up. Or we can respond consciously, reflect, learn, and act with clarity. The choice we make in that moment is what turns a test into a transformation. Pressure is like a mirror. It shows us who we are, but more importantly, who we can become. And when we begin to respond rather than react, we stop seeing pressure as something to fear and start recognizing it as a powerful tool for personal growth. Comfort zones really foster growth. As humans, we are naturally inclined to seek ease, routine, and familiarity. We like the predictable, the safe, the things we can control. But the reality is that nothing extraordinary has ever been born out of comfort. Growth demands discomfort. It demands that we stretch ourselves beyond what is convenient. And while comfort may feel good in the moment, it often robs us of the greatness we are meant to achieve. Pressure, on the other hand, pushes us out of our familiar corners and into the vast space of potential we didn't even know existed. Think of a baby bird in the nest. The nest is warm, safe, and protected. But if the bird never leaves the nest, it never learns to fly. The very first flight is not smooth. It's awkward, risky, and often frightening. Yet it's necessary. Without stepping out of that comfort zone, the bird will never experience the freedom of the skies. Similarly, when we stay within what's easy, sticking to what we already know, doing only what feels effortless, we never tap into the courage or capabilities hidden within us. It's in the uncomfortable zones that we meet the version of ourselves who is resilient, creative, and determined. A student stepping up to speak in front of a crowd for the first time may feel fear in thee, but that experience may unlock confidence. An entrepreneur who invests in a risky idea may face failure in the, but that failure might become the foundation of future success. A person healing from heartbreak may feel shattered, but in that emotional pain lies the opportunity to discover inner strength and self-worth that no external love could ever give. The pressure forces us out of complacency. It interrupts our patterns and routines. And though it feels unpleasant at first, the interruption is often divine in the, because what feels like chaos is sometimes the universe moving us toward our purpose. When we grow, we change, and change is never comfortable. Muscles grow by tearing slightly and repairing. Trees grow tall only after surviving harsh winds. Even gold must go through intense heat to become pure. That pain, that discomfort, it's the price of transformation. When we stay in comfort for too long, we start to shrink spiritually and mentally. We settle for less. We stop dreaming bigger. We silence the inner call that says, you are meant for more. But the moment we embrace discomfort, when we say yes to the challenge, yes to the unfamiliar, yes to the pressure, we step into a life where growth becomes a constant and potential is no longer just an idea but a lived experience. Comfort may offer temporary peace, but pressure offers long-term purpose. And in choosing between the two, we choose the quality of our lives. Pressure brings self-discovery. Often, we go through life thinking we know who we are, what we're capable of, what we can handle, what our limits are. But those beliefs are rarely tested in times of ease. It's only when life turns up the heat, when we're under real pressure, that our true nature begins to emerge. Pressure has a way of stripping away the masks we wear, the roles we play, and the assumptions we make about ourselves. It puts us face to face with parts of ourselves we didn't know existed, both our weaknesses and our deepest strengths. When you're faced with a crisis, be it emotional, financial, professional, or personal, you begin to notice things about yourself that surprise you. Maybe you thought you were impatient, but under pressure, you discover a deep well of calm and clarity. Maybe you believed you needed others to support you. But when no one was around, you found the strength to carry yourself forward. Or perhaps you always feared failure, but a difficult moment forced you to take a bold risk. And that risk revealed your courage. These are discoveries that only pressure can bring. Think about a tea bag. Its flavor is revealed only when it's dipped into hot water. Similarly, who we truly are begins to emerge in the hot waters of life. Under pressure, our values are tested. Do we choose integrity or compromise? Our discipline is challenged. Do we give in or keep showing up? Our patience is stretched. Do we explode or remain steady? These internal dialogues, these quiet but defining decisions become mirrors. And in those mirrors, we see ourselves clearly without illusion. One of the most powerful gifts of pressure is that it builds self-awareness. It forces us to reflect, not on the world outside, but on the world within. We start asking real questions. Who am I when everything goes wrong? Ours to be in the. What do I believe when nothing makes sense? What kind of person do I want to be when life isn't fair? These questions, though uncomfortable, unlock a deeper understanding of ourselves. One that leads not only to emotional maturity, but also to spiritual growth. Moreover, the pressure doesn't just show us who we are. It shows us who we could be. In those moments when we think, I can't go on, but we still do, we prove something powerful to ourselves. We break through the mental barriers that once held us back. And after we've walked through that fire, we're no longer the same. We're stronger, wiser, more grounded. We carry a new confidence, not the kind that comes from praise or success, but the kind that comes from surviving something difficult and rising above it. So while pressure is never pleasant in the moment, it is deeply revealing. It introduces us to the raw, honest version of ourselves. And though the journey is often tough, the discovery is always worth it. Because the person you meet on the other side of pressure is someone you can trust someone who knows what they're made of, and someone who's far more powerful than they ever imagined. The mindset shift from burden to blessing is crucial. The way we interpret pressure determines whether it strengthens us or weakens us. Two people can face the exact same challenge. One sees it as a punishment, the other as preparation. That difference in perception changes everything. When we see pressure as a burden, we resist it, complain about it, and wish it away. We feel victimized by life. But when we begin to shift our mindset and see that same pressure as a blessing in disguise, it becomes a tool, a silent mentor that is shaping us into something more capable, more compassionate, more complete. Our minds are meaning-making machines. They don't just observe life, they interpret it. And the way we frame our experiences shapes how we experience them. Think of a person climbing a steep mountain. If he views the incline as unfair and exhausting, every step will feel like a punishment. But if he sees it as a path to a breathtaking view at the top, every step, no matter how tiring, becomes meaningful. The climb is the same, but the mindset makes the journey either painful or purposeful. When we begin to see pressure as a blessing, something else shifts inside us. We stop asking, why is this happening to me? And we begin to ask, how is this happening for me? That one question changes us from passive sufferers to active learners. Suddenly, the missed opportunity is not a failure. It's redirection. The heartbreak is not cruelty. It's clarity. The rejection is not humiliation. It's protection. And in this way, pressure stops being an enemy and starts becoming a guide in thee. Let's take a real-world example, like someone who loses their job unexpectedly. Initially, the pressure feels unbearable. Fear, uncertainty, self-doubt all rise to the surface. But with time and reflection, maybe that job loss becomes the catalyst for a new career path, the push toward entrepreneurship, or the spark to discover a hidden talent. What once felt like a burden reveals itself as a disguised blessing. And only someone who was willing to shift their mindset could see it that way. This shift doesn't come naturally. It requires awareness, humility, and a conscious choice to rise above emotion and look for deeper meaning. Life rarely shouts its purpose at us. Instead, it whispers through pressure. It invites us to dig deeper. And when we change our perspective, we begin to realize that most of the things we call problems were actually invitations, opportunities for growth, maturity, healing, and self-discovery. There's a wisdom in realizing that life doesn't just happen to you. It happens for you. Every pressure point has a lesson embedded within it, and every lesson, when embraced becomes a building block for a better, stronger, more enlightened you. So by shifting our mindset from seeing pressure as a burden to recognizing it as a blessing, we open ourselves up to transformation, not just of our circumstances, but our inner world, our character, and our purpose. Transformation happens through endurance. Change is not a switch that flips instantly. It is a process that takes place slowly, often painfully, and almost always through consistent effort over time. Pressure doesn't transform us in the moment we feel it. Rather, it's what we do with that pressure again and again that slowly reshapes us. And this reshaping demands something simple, but rare endurance. The ability to stay with the process, to keep showing up even when results are invisible, when progress is unclear, when everything inside us screams to quit. That is where the true transformation begins. Think of water dripping on a rock. One drop seems powerless. 10 drops, nothing changes. But over months and years, that same drop of water wears away the stone. Not because it is strong, but because it is consistent. That's what endurance. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not glamorous. It's quiet, steady, and incredibly powerful. In the same way, when life puts pressure on us, we may not see immediate growth. In fact, we may only see frustration, fatigue, and a desire to escape. But if we endure, if we hold on, keep learning, keep acting with intention, transformation will happen, often in ways we never anticipated. Endurance teaches us patience. In a world obsessed with speed, fast results, instant gratification, we forget that real, meaningful change cannot be rushed. A caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly overnight. It must stay in the cocoon, endure its isolation, and surrender to a process it cannot fully understand. Yet out of that waiting, wings emerge. Similarly, in our lives, pressure creates the cocoon, and it is only through enduring it with faith and resilience that we emerge changed. There's a story of a man who hit a rock with a hammer 99 times and saw no crack. On the 100th strike, the rock split open. Now, was it the 100th strike that broke the rock, or was it the 99 that came before it? It was all of them. Each blow mattered. Each one brought the rock closer to breaking. And that's how transformation works. Every moment you choose not to give up, every time you stay kind under pressure, every time you stay focused when distracted, these moments add up. They accumulate silently but steadily, and eventually they break open the version of you that was waiting to be born. Transformation through endurance also humbles us. It shows us that we are not in control of the timing, but we are in control of the effort. And that distinction is what makes us powerful in them. When we understand that we may not see the fruit today, but still keep watering the seed, we are no longer operating from the ego. We are operating from the heart, from purpose. And purpose endures where motivation fades. So pressure alone isn't enough to change us. It's what we do with that pressure, day after day, decision after decision. Endurance is the bridge between who we are and who we are becoming. And if we can walk that bridge with faith we won't just survive the pressure, we'll be transformed by it. You don't rise despite pressure. You rise because of it. This simple truth holds immense power. Often, we believe that success comes when life is smooth, when things fall into place, when the path is free of obstacles. But if you look closely at the stories of every truly successful person, every resilient soul, every evolved human being, you will find one thing in common. They rose because life was difficult, not in spite of it. It was the pressure, the challenge, the setback, the pain that triggered their rise. Imagine an airplane. It doesn't take off with the wind. It takes off you against it. It's the resistance of the air that gives it the lift it needs to fly. The greater the resistance, the stronger the lift. Similarly, in our lives, it's the pressure that builds our wings. Without it, we would never be forced to grow, to reflect, or to take that leap into something greater. Without pressure, we would never be forced to rise. The rise is not always visible. It often happens silently in the background when no one is watching. It happens in the moments you choose to get up after failure, when you choose integrity over convenience, when you show up even when no one applauds you. These invisible victories, born from pressure, are the foundations of real strength. They don't make headlines, but they build character. There's something unique that happens to the human spirit under pressure. It awakens. When everything is taken away, comfort, stability, certainty, what remains is your will. And in that stripped down state, you find a strength you didn't know you had. That strength doesn't just help you survive the pressure, it helps you rise above it. Not because you waited for the storm to pass, but because you learned how to dance in the rain. Think of the lotus flower. It doesn't grow in clean water or smooth environments. It rises through thick, dark, muddy waters to bloom in the sunlight. The mud is essential to its beauty. If you remove the mud, you remove the miracle. Likewise, in life, the uncomfortable situations, the emotional struggles, the mental breakdowns, they are not signs of failure. They are signs that something within you is being awakened, shaped, and prepared to rise. We often underestimate the role of pain in progress. But it's pain that forces us to look for deeper answers, to build endurance, to change direction, and to realign with our purpose. Pressure, when faced with openness and commitment, becomes the very reason we rise. Not a delay in our destiny, but the doorway to it. So if you're feeling weighed down, overwhelmed, or on the verge of giving up, pause and reflect. The pressure you're feeling may not be a sign that you're going the wrong way. It may be the proof that you're exactly where you need to be, that this resistance is preparing your wings, and that soon, because of the very pressure you're facing, you will rise higher than ever before. Power is born in the moments. We choose resilience over retreat. Life constantly presents us with crossroads. Moments where we can either give up or go on, break down or break through, hide or heal. These moments often arrive wrapped in discomfort, challenge, or deep emotional weight. And though it may not seem obvious in the moment, it is precisely in those moments, when quitting seems easier, when escape looks tempting, when silence feels safer, that the seeds of real power are planted because power isn't something we are born with. It's something we earn slowly by choosing resilience again and again, especially when retreat would be more comfortable. Resilience is not just about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. It's the quiet force that says, I'm tired but I'll try one more time. It's the whisper inside you that reminds you of your worth, even when the world doubts you. It's that inner grit that tells you the story isn't over yet, no matter how hopeless it feels. And the more we practice this kind of resilience, the more powerful we become. Not in a loud, aggressive way, but in a deep-grounded, unshakable way. We often admire strength in others. Athletes who train through injury, leaders who persevere through criticism, parents who keep going despite exhaustion. But what we don't always see is that their strength didn't come from their victories. It came from the nights they cried in silence, but showed up anyway. From the days they felt invisible, but still choose to serve. From the seasons they felt defeated, but kept walking. That's where power is born. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows of difficulty where decisions are made without applause. Resilience is a decision. It doesn't always come naturally. Sometimes we must wrestle with ourselves to choose it. Our mind may want to protect us, to pull away from pain, to shut down in the face of challenge. But when we take a deep breath, realign with our values, and choose to stay the course, we exercise a kind of internal power that strengthens over time. And each time we choose not to retreat, we build the emotional muscle that allows us to face bigger pressures with a calm, steady heart. It's also important to remember that resilience doesn't mean suppressing pain or pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging the struggle, sitting with the discomfort, but refusing to define by it. It's allowing the experience to shape us, but not limit us. When we choose to stay engaged in life, to keep loving, trying, creating and believing, even when it's hard, we become deeply powerful in a way that external success can never replicate. In truth, life will test you. It will ask, How bad do you want this? How strong is your faith? How deep is your purpose? And each time you answer with resilience instead of retreat, you take another step into your strength. And with every step, your power stops being something you seek and starts becoming something you are. Turn every weight into a stepping stone. Life will never run out of things to weigh you down. Expectations, rejections, failures, criticism, loss. But none of these things have the power to keep you stuck unless you let them. The truth is, the very things that seem heavy, painful, or unfair can become the foundation upon which your greatest growth is built in the. What determines whether they crush you or elevate you isn't their weight. It's what you do with them. When you begin to treat each difficulty as a tool, a teacher, a platform for evolution, you transform that pressure into power in the same stone that can block your path can also be the one you step on to rise above. When we're hit by life's burdens, our first instinct is usually to resist. We ask, why me? Or why now? But what if the better question is, how can I use this? Every setback contains within the material for a comeback. Every mistake carries within it the seeds of wisdom. But to extract the lesson, to use the weight as a stepping stone, we must shift our mindset. We must stop seeing problems as punishments and start seeing them as possibilities in the. Think about some of the most iconic structures in the world. Bridges that span rivers, the towers that touch the sky. Every one of them is made from materials that, in their raw form, are just weight, stone, steel, concrete, but placed with intention, balanced with design, and aligned with vision. That weight becomes something magnificent. Our lives are no different. The emotional burdens, the mental stress, the spiritual draughts, they can all be arranged into something beautiful in but only if we choose to build rather than break. There's a story of a farmer whose donkey fell into a deep, dry well. The animal cried for hours and the farmer, realizing he couldn't lift it out, decided to bury it in He began shoveling dirt into the well. But as the dirt hit the donkey's back, it shook it off and stepped up. With every shovel of dirt meant to bury it, the donkey rose higher. Eventually, the well was full and the donkey walked out, alive, simply because it didn't let the weight press it down. It used it to climb. This is the mindset we need when life throws dirt our way. People may misunderstand you. Life may delay you. You may fall short despite effort. But all of it can be used to elevate you. The criticism can teach you humility. The failures can refine your strategy. The heartbreak can awaken self-love. The delays can build patience. Nothing needs to go to waste, not even your pain. When you use everything, you lose nothing. Life doesn't promise ease, but it does offer transformation. If we're willing to change how we engage with the weight we carry we can curse the burden or we can convert it. We can let it trap us or we can let it teach us The most empowered people are not those who had light lives. They are the ones who learn to step upward, using each weight as a stone on the path to becoming someone greater than who they were yesterday. The climb may be steep, but the view from the top is shaped by every heavy step that built your strength.